welcome back to the Battle Files here on the CGC channel. Here to talk about the post-honeymoon phase of Battlefield 6. And the gameplay you're watching is actually a perfect example of a lot of the, let's just say, issues that I have with the game. And I want to preface what's about to happen as far as this conversation with just a little reminder that I am not a big, let's say, I'm not a person that's big on complaining about what a developer does and doesn't do. Now, this isn't a complaint so much as critiques. However, I do understand how these can be confused as complaints, and I want to be clear. These are things that, you know, the product as it stands. These are things that can be fixed via updates. These are not things that they need to fundamentally go back and change the way the game works or anything of that nature. These are things I believe that can be fixed while the game is still in live service. Now, whether or not they will be fixed, I don't know, but as a person who cares about this franchise as much as I do, I figured I would put my opinion out there about it. Maybe it'll catch the right person's ear. That being said, let's get on to not necessarily this gameplay. This gameplay is kind of a backdrop to what's what the conversation actually is. Battlefield 6, gameplay wise, is pretty darn good. I would dare say it's probably one of the better playing Battlefield 6 or Battlefield games rather. It's the only Battlefield 6. It's one of the better playing Battlefield games that have come out in a long while from an infantry standpoint. Now, if you're talking about the other aspects of it, I think that's where it falls short. Now, I am not the authority on all things vehicular gameplay, nowhere near that. But when you got guys who are renowned pilots like Silk, who's like one of the best Battlefield pilots ever, like the guy's got a whole channel, and shout out to Silk. He's got a whole channel of like highlights of him basically dominating matches in the jets and the helicopters. When he's complaining about the gameplay of the aerial vehicles, then maybe you want to listen to that guy. If he has issues with it and the effectiveness of it, and then you have other players, and I can include myself amongst the other players who are complaining about the ground vehicle gameplay, the tanks. Like, again, I largely don't have a problem with Battlefield's infantry gameplay, but like the tank gameplay is kind of bad. This is one of the bigger maps. It's not the biggest map. I think Eastwood is probably the biggest map in the game. If you know that to be incorrect, please, say so in the comments. But like Eastwood probably has the best flow of on-ground vehicular gameplay, because while there are tight, narrow paths on Eastwood, they're mostly concentrated around the center. There is plenty of real estate that the ground vehicles can drive around on and fight each other and maneuver for position and be effective. Aerial gameplay, again, I'm no expert on, but everybody who plays in the helicopters and the planes, they seem to have the same opinion that, the aerial gameplay isn't where it needs to be. Now, I've seen different things. This could just be a matter of fixing the size of the skyboxes, the how far along the out of bounds areas is. It could be a number of things that could be minor fixes or updates to how the current maps flow. But with the ground vehicles, it's a little bit different, right? Like on this map in particular, the only time you really have any space for ground vehicle gameplay is right in front of the flag that I just spawned from here, which I believe is F, and there's a side road on the E flag. Right around where you just saw that arrow that I had on the spawn screen there. Those are the only places you really can drive the tanks. And how are those vehicles expected to be effective in this kind of a map, right? And then you just saw something that is a whole nother issue that I'll talk about briefly. I think that's really just a matter of them, patching the game and getting their whatever's going on the back end, getting that together. Because like getting killed behind walls is even more prominent now than it was like the first couple of weeks of the game. Like hit registration, phantom bullets, crazy nonsense. And again, I have 200 hours in the game, so this is where a lot of this is coming from, man. Like I'm seeing it. I've seen it so much that it's like it's something that is kind of a regular occurrence. You if you play the game enough, you can tell that it's happening, and it's very annoying. But back to the tanks, the tanks just don't flow well on most of these maps. Again, with the exception being Eastwood. And then there's some maps that the tanks are on, and it's like you wonder, why are they even here? Why are they even here? There's no point, The two New York maps are a perfect example. The one in particular, the one with the Dumbo sign. That one, I don't understand the purpose of the tanks being on those narrow streets. Like 9 times out of 10, well, about maybe 7 times out of 10, there's a pile of engineers in those buildings to your left and your right. The tank's not going anywhere without getting blown up. Like literally, there's situations where being in the tank is a complete death trap. There's no point in doing it. And it's unfortunate, right? I made a whole nother video. I had a whole nother set of audio that I'm not going to use, where I'm basically just saying, this is a great first-person shooter. I would have called it Medal of Honor and not Battlefield. I know that seems strange after my previous video where I kind of gave the game a lot of praise, but that was the honeymoon phase, right? Like, I was loving the gameplay. I was really loving the fact that we had a Battlefield that, kind of got back to what Battlefield was, at least was trying to. But now that I've had 200 plus hours in it, its issues are glaring. With the lack of any kind of aquatic gameplay, the apparently not very good aerial combat, and the very, very rarely good ground combat, they really are missing a lot of what makes Battlefield, or at least what made Battlefield. And a lot of it, I'm more than willing to admit this. A lot of this could be nostalgia talking, and me remembering Battlefield 4 and 3 and Bad Company 2 for being more than what they were. Or, mentally is, when it comes to this franchise, I could be stuck in a certain point in time. And I think a lot of us are guilty of that. But you also have to kind of admit that once Vince Zampella, RIP to Vince Zampella, because he did pass over the holiday season. Once Vince Zampella took over that franchise, you probably kind of could see the writing on the wall that they were going to kind of codify the game. And if you don't understand what that reference means, Vince Zampella is one of the original creators of Infinity Ward, who are the original creators of the Call of Duty franchise. And you kind of figured that, he would put that Call of Duty style touch on Battlefield. And that's really what this is, right? This is like, I don't want to say Battlefield scale maps, because that's another problem that a lot of people are pointing out, right? That the maps aren't quite the size of what you typically expect from a Battlefield game. And there's a comparison charts to this, and it's actually true, right? These maps are not the size of what a typical Battlefield map would be. Even like the remake of God, what's that map called? The oil field map. Let's just call it that. I'm really bad with names, guys. I'm sorry about that. But that map has somehow been cut down from its original version in Battlefield 3. And it's just like, you can tell that somebody looked at Battlefield and said, how can I make this more appealing to Call of Duty players? And if you remember, I said back a few videos ago that this is a problem. Now I know you're like, well, Goot, you barely post. It's kind of hard for me to cite the sources on that. But yeah, I've said before that, you know, I didn't think this game was going to hold on to the amount of players that people thought it was going to hold on to, because they're trying to replace COD, which is not going to happen because COD's too big. I know there are a lot of people who are like, well, you know, COD Black Ops 7 is not doing that great. Black Ops 7 is not doing that great, but you still see the usual suspects making videos about it. As a matter of fact, for the most part, outside of one or two creators, most of the COD content creators are still playing COD. They've tried playing Battlefield for like maybe a week, and just like I said, they got like 2 or 3 Battlefield videos up, and now there's all Call of Duty videos trying out the new guns, trying out the new kill streaks, trying out the new assassination animations. Like, COD players are gonna be COD players. It is what it is. I like this idea that they will somehow convert to Battlefield players was nonsense. I never did believe it. And the 90% almost player drop rate of Battlefield 6 speaks to that. They were never going to be able to maintain those players. And that draws me to probably my biggest point, and I'm probably going to stick on this one until the end of the video. It's the content. Man, I've said this before. Like, when we had the premium program and we were paying for, I think it was $15 to $20 for the map packs, and the map packs were like 4 to 5 maps, 4 vehicles, 9 guns, 3 gadgets. That was way better than telling me, yeah, you're gonna get 2 maps every season, and then we're gonna drip feed those once a month during that said season, and then we're gonna be charging you $15 for skins. And I gotta be honest, and I'm a big proponent of the idea that players can complain themselves into a corner as consumers, but these skins that you guys were so adamant about DICE not adding to the game, the skins that are in Battlefield suck. Like, why anybody, I could be wrong. I don't know the business of Battlefield, but I don't see any reason why any people in mass would buy these skins. They are garbage. There's no benefit to them whatsoever. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you. Those of you who complain about the game needing to be more realistic and more boots on the ground, I'm not gonna lie to you, man. If they came out with a skin where if I shot a guy, he would turn into a pile of pixels, I would buy that. Like, the Peter Griffin and or American Dad, I guess is wrong, Seth MacFarlane cartoon. But if that stuff I could do without. I don't need Beavis and Butthead in the game. But like death animations, death effects, kill animations, I wouldn't mind seeing that stuff in their character packs. The stuff that they're selling is garbage. This is a video game, okay? And many things that Call of Duty does wrong, it does that right. Like, outside of how some of those skins look, and there's the whole debate of some of that stuff being AI generated, and there's a legit argument against that, right? The death effects and stuff like that, I wouldn't have a problem seeing that kind of stuff in this game. I don't need the cel shaded characters. I don't need the Ninja Turtle appearances or anything like that. I don't need Nicki Minaj in the game, especially not now. But dude, there's no way in hell I'm spending money on those skin packs. Why would I do that? I like this game. I think it has potential, but between the not so great flow of a lot of the maps, between the very, very clear lack of content, and again, I maybe I'm wrong. I don't see why anybody would buy it. Like, most of those skin packs look like different variations of gray. and green. I don't see why anybody would buy that stuff. Like, there's nothing appealing about it. And again, I'm not asking for Call of Duty cartoon characters or anything like that, but as a Battlefield player, I see no reason to buy those skins. None. So between that, man, I don't know how this game fares going ahead. I hope it survives. I hope that they have a lot of content lined up for us. As of recording this video, the season has about 1 week left. As of tomorrow, Tuesday, they'll have 1 week left, and then we probably should be getting a trailer sometime this week for season 2. I certainly hope that they don't plan on drip feeding maps to us again, because like of those last 2 maps, only one of them was good, and that's, I thought I like Eastwood, but a lot of people don't. But like that map that came before, the red map with the hills, that map sucks. That is not a good map. Personally, my personal opinion, it's just not. It's not. Could have did without that one. But you guys, let me know what you think, man. Do you think I'm wrong? Do you agree? Do you disagree? I'm not saying the game's in trouble, but the honeymoon phase is definitely over. The failure of what seems to be Red Sec and their lack of pushing Portal content, which a lot of creators have touched on, is hurting this game. They got to get their heads out of their butts and really do something about this. Or look, Modern Warfare 4 is coming, and I'm almost certain the layup attempt that Activision tried this year is going to be a straight slam dunk next year, or rather later this year, when they, like, Modern Warfare is not going to be playing with them. So they got to get their heads out of their butts and figure out this content drip, because what they're doing right now, it ain't working. Anyway, just holler at me in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. Let me know what you think. Catch you later.